Hi friends, I'm Parvez from geekschoolers.com and this is our 13th video in Python programming language. In this video we're going to start our object-oriented programming journey. So as you know, Python is an object-oriented programming language. It means that we can solve a problem in Python language by creating classes and objects in our program. So we can say that object-oriented programming is a computer programming model that arranges software design with data or objects, rather than functions. Now there are different concepts that you should know in object-oriented programming, like creating classes, creating objects, and there are some object-oriented principles like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. So particularly in this video we want to learn that how you can create classes and how you can instantiate a class in Python. So first of all, what is a class? Now a class is a blueprint for the objects, or we can say that a class is a way of organizing information about a type of data. So by creating a class we can reuse elements when making multiple instances of that data type. For example, we create a class car. Now if we want to create the instances of this car class, now it may be a BMW car or Ferrari car or another type of the car. Now the car class would allow you to store similar information that is unique to each car. Now there may be different models and maybe different colors and etc. So now let's create our first class in Python. So for creating of the class in the Python, you can just use class keyword, and after that you need to add your class name. So for example, class name, and this is the body of the class, and in here you can add your variables, behaviors, attributes, and functions. So now right now we are not going to add any attributes and also behaviors in here. So for the attributes we can call it variables, and for the behaviors we can call it functions or methods. Now we can just pause this class, and we want to just skip this class. Okay, now if I run this right now, so you can see that there is nothing in the console, because when you create your classes, after that we need to instantiate the object of the class. So for example, let me just now creating of instance of class is simple. You can just give the name of the class followed by a pair of parentheses. So for example, in here this is the I have given A, for example, it's the object name, and after that you can just give the class name. For example, this is my class name, like this. And for example, let me just create another one in here, class name. Okay, now if I print this A and also print B, now if I run this, you can see that I am receiving class name object and at this memory address, and this is another memory address for the second object. Now you can see that these are different numbers in here. Okay, now let's learn that how you can add attributes in your classes. So let me just create a class. I'm going to just call it class person. Right now we are not going to do anything in the class body itself. We want to add some attributes to created object of the class. So in here I'm going to just skip this class and I want to just say pause. Now I want to create the object, or I'm going to just create the instance of this class. So I'm going to just say p1 person and p2 person. So in here you can see that we are instantiating the class, and we are creating two objects in here. So now we can assign some attributes to these instances. So we can just say p1.name, and for example I'm going to just add my name in here, and we can say p1.age, and you can add age in here. And for the p2 I want to add a name, so geeks coders, and we can just add an age also in here, so for example 20. Now we can print our data, so print p1.name and p1.age, and we can do this for the p2, so .name and p2.age. So now if I run this, you can see that I am receiving my data in here. So now let's talk about the initializer method in Python. So most object-oriented programming languages have the concept of constructor. Now it is a special method that creates and initializes the object when it's created. Now in Python we have initializer method. So this is a special method, and it's called when an object is created from a class, and it allows the class to initialize the attributes of the class. So now let me just create an example and you'll know what I mean. So in here I'm going to just create a new Python file and PyCharm ID. So class example 2. So now in here I'm going to create a class person. So I want to create the same class in here, and we can just use init. This is the initializer method in Python, and so the self is the instance of this class. So self, it means the instance of this class. Now in here we can add our name and also age. Now we can just say self.name is name and self.age is age. Okay, so if you remember, in we have created this example, so you can see that we have name in here, we have age in here, this is for the p2, and we have printed in here. So now we can see that these are a lot of codes in here. Now using initializer method we can easily do this. So we can just, now if I create my so if I instantiate this class, so we can just say p1 person, and in here, so you can see that if I create person, and I need to just add my name and also the age, and for the p2 I'm going to create person, and I can add John and 20. So now I can easily print this, so print p1 dot name and print p1 dot age, and also you can do this for the second one, so print p2 dot name and also p2 dot age. So now if I run this code, you will see that this initializer method assigns this name and age automatically to this objects of this class. So now if I run this, you can see that I am receiving, so this is the name, this is the age, and this is the name, and this is the age. Alright guys, now let's talk about Python object attributes. Now Python object has two types of attributes. We have class attributes and we have instance attributes. So first let's talk about instance attribute, because we have saw some examples on instance attribute. So an instance attribute is a Python variable belonging to only one object. Now this variable is only accessible in the scope of this object, and it is defined inside the init method. So now if you see in this example, these are called instance attribute because it is unique to each object. Now for example, if you see in here, we have name and we have age. Now this name and this age is unique to this p1 object, and we have this name and we have this age. So this name and this age is unique to this object. So an instance attribute is belonging to only one object, and it is unique. So, and we can add this inside the init method. Now, what is a class attribute? Now, a class attribute is a Python variable that is owned by a class rather than a particular object, and it is shared between all the objects of the class. Also, it's defined outside the init method. So for example, in here I can create a class attribute. So we can just say, for example, email, and we can add an email address in here. So now this class attribute belongs to this class. It's not specific to any object. It's just related to this class person. Now in here, if I say, for example, print p1 dot name, dot email, and print p2 dot email. Now if I run this, so you can see that I am receiving the email in both objects. So now what are the difference between class attribute and also instance attribute? So the difference between class and instance attribute is this, that class attribute is shared by all instances. So now if you see, we have email. Now this email is shared by all instances of the class, so with the p1 and also p2. And when you change the value of the class attribute, it will affect all instances that share the same exact value. Now if I change the value of this class attribute, for example, let me just say updated at gmail.com. So when you change the value, it will affect all instances that share the same exact value. Now if I run this, you can see that this value is changed in the first instance of the class, and also this is changed in this instance of the class. It's changed in the p1 and also in the p2. Now the attribute of an instance, on the other hand, is unique to that instance. So if you see in here, this is unique to p1, and if we change this, there is no effect on the p2. If we change this h, there is no effect on the p2. So now take a note that class attributes are shared between, it's belong to a class, and can be shared by all instances. And when you change the value of the class attribute, it will affect all instances that share the same exact value. And on the other hand, the instance attribute, it is unique to the specific instance. So like this, for example, this name is unique for this p1, and also this age is unique for this p1. So like this, you can work with the class and also instance attributes. Alright guys, now let's talk that how you can add methods in a class. So for example, I have a class person, and let me just create my init method in here. So we have name, we have age, and we have email. Now we can say self.name is name, and self.age is age, and self.email is email. Now I can add my method in this class, so we can just use so diff, and I'm going to just say print info, and we can just say print. So my name is, we can add the name in here, so we need to just use self.name because we are inside the class, and this is the instance of the class, so we can just say self.name, and my age is self.age, and my email is self.email. Now let me just create the instance of this class. So we can just say p1 person, and now we can add our name. You can add the age, and you can add the email address, and we can now we can use the instance of the class, and we can call this print info. So we can just say p1.print info. Now if I run this, you can see that we are receiving the result in here. So like this, you can work with the classes in Python. If you have any question, please let me know. And for the source codes, you can just check my website, geekscholars.com.